Hello, hello. Good morning.
Good morning, dear Omar. Well,
How is everything?
everything is great, and welcome to the WISE Immigrant Podcast by
Thank
Miss
you.
Immigrant USA and the Meet Your Candidate series. How are you,
Yes,
Omar?
doing great, feeling amazing, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us today. We are happy and we are honored to have you here and to give our audience the chance to learn about you and why you decided to run for the New York State Senate and District 23.
Absolutely, absolutely. As a proud immigrant, I cannot wait to explain my story and why I'm running and why I believe there needs to be changes.
And I cannot wait to hear about this. Omar, before we talk about politics, I want people to meet you.
Hmm,
Who is Omar, the person and not the candidate?
absolutely. Omar is someone who came to New York when he was 7 years old through the doors of JFK in New York City. I was born in Alexandria, Egypt, and came into New York. My family, my father, my mother wanted better future for their children, right? Like most immigrant families. And so coming to the United States for the American dream to, you know, have the family grow. And went straight to Brooklyn. So South Brooklyn is where I grew up, Bensonhurst.
Mm.
I went to FDR High School, PS 48, and someone who had to take ESL and start learning English and the proper pronunciation and start getting assimilating into the society. Growing up, parents are always saying you should always be a benefit to society. That's your
Mm.
goal, a benefit to your family and society. We had a fantastic opportunity to being here. And interestingly enough, my father, the one who brought us over, he actually came in the late 80s. So there was under President Ronald Reagan, the SAW, Special Agricultural Worker
Mm.
Act, in which basically during that time the farming industry, it was shortage of labor. But my father was experienced in farmland in Egypt, and so he was able to come in and at that time temporary stay, and if you worked and you used your hands to benefit society, you were given a pathway to citizenship. And so that's something that was, and that was under a Republican president, Ronald Reagan, right? Which I feel like contrasts a lot of what's happening now. And then so then my dad came, worked hard, brought over his family. We grew up in South Brooklyn, and about 2011 is when I moved to Staten Island, which is interesting because both of these boroughs, which is South Brooklyn and Staten Island, is currently part of the district I'm trying to represent. So I'm very fortunate enough to say I grew up in both of them, and served both of them. And during college, like most immigrant mothers, mom was like, "You're gonna be a doctor. Pick a work with lawyer or doctor. Which one do you want to be?" And so of course I wanted to go to a medical school, and unfortunately, while I was in college, which was the College of Staten Island, uh, my mom, she came down with stage 4 lung cancer, and so my mind instantly had to shift from prioritizing family. So I had to get into work. So for
Mm.
me, the best way to do that, while serving others and helping my mom, was becoming an emergency medical technician, EMT.
Mm.
And so one of the very first jobs, one of the very first professional jobs I had was in the public servant sector, where I was an EMT for about 5 years. And that's really when I started seeing firsthand experience of a system that is supposed to take care of its people is actually failing its people, especially during the pandemic, where you didn't know what the heck was going on. Um, you know, I remember at a point where I was going into a hospital, we had a trailer outside, and it was full of dead bodies. Where else we could take them? We were using, you know, bed sheets to cover the bodies, running out of bed sheets, and then having to use garbage bags. Like these are some of the things that, you know, happened during that time. Um, And then after 5 years as a EMT and being a paramedic student during the pandemic, working alongside nurses in hospitals and doing my clinical rotations, I got into safety, becoming a safety specialist. And I did that for 5 years. And so that was a completely different world because I was a safety specialist for Amazon for the very same site where Amazon labor union passed. So I saw how a corporation was not happy and how workers really were being fired left and right just because they started to organize and say, hey, we would like to speak up for our safety. And so, a lot of these events in my life is what made me want to run is because I just don't see um, the necessary changes for our communities and our constituency to have a better life, whether it's work, whether it's family, whether it's healthcare. And that's something that I'm lucky enough to say I've experienced.
I always feel that the name carries stories. Who chose your name?
My
And
mom,
is there a story behind it?
yes. So Omar, so I'm Muslim, right? And so Omar Mohamad is the full name, and obviously Prophet Muhammad would have companions around him.
Mm,
And so Omar was a friend, close friend of Prophet Muhammad, but Omar's character is why we use this name. Omar was someone who was strong in character, was someone who respected others, thought
mhm,
of others before he thought about himself,
mhm.
cared deeply about community. And so it's the character traits that Omar had, which is why we use the name Omar. He was very strong, but also had foresight, and so was always thinking ahead instead of making rash decisions. And so that's why my mom named me uh, like Omar.
That's a beautiful story.
Thank you.
And your parents came to America and built their life here. What do
Yes.
you think about their journey? What stays with you the most?
Stays with me the most. I think just navigating life
Mm,
from immigrants, right? Because I wasn't born here, I'm a naturalized citizen, to becoming citizens, right? And the journey between that, and then life after that, and then seeing others like us going through that same journey, and looking at it now, comparing it to before. But I just remember as a young man, it's funny because people tell me they don't hear an accent, but when I was young, I had to work really hard at ESL to start learning how to speak properly. I actually used to read and write Arabic. But when I started learning the English language, I completely forgot how to read and write Arabic. I could speak it fluently, but because I was so focused on learning how to speak properly. So it's just the barriers you go through as you grow up. Um, and I even remember taking the exam and becoming at the time when you're a kid, the exam is slightly different. They ask you, questions about the flag, about stuff like that, if I remember right. And so it's compared to adults, it's not that hard, but I still have memory of that.
mhm.
Compared to now being a full-fledged adult, American citizen, right? Uh, and so just just that whole process in
Yes.
South Brooklyn.
Was there like a specific moment when you were younger and you realized, oh, my family is different, my family story is different, we live different, we do different things.
Mm, mm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think first time I really noticed that was when I was in school. Even though we were young kids, but I remember someone saying, Omar's not from here." Like we were having a conversation, and then someone was like, "Oh, Omar's not from here," and I remember like that stuck in my head because
Mm,
I didn't know I was not from here. That makes sense. I thought I was present like everyone else, but it's only when a difference gets brought up is when you're aware of it. It's remembering that, going through that as a as a young kid and trying to find my own space, my own, you know, comfortable area, within our circle, um, through friends, and even in with people who I didn't know, and seeing how I would be, how those social norms were, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. Because when you come in, you're going to an area where you're going to see a lot of people from your background because that's where you're most comfortable, right? We have a lot of that across New York. We have neighborhoods that we can tell heavily, where the main background is from, because that's how you kind of feel comfortable when you come here and trying to figure your way around. Much easier asking your neighbor that also speaks Arabic, like, hey, how do I where can I find the nearest laundromat to help you in your journey, than going somewhere perhaps you don't know anyone and you might not be able to speak the same language and you're having difficulties. But I think definitely through school because that's where I was communicating the most, and
Mhm.
that's where these things would come up, and I would, oh, I'm not from here. Okay, so how do I be from here? And kind of seeing how people thought about that.
A lot of children of immigrants,
Mm,
they grow between like two worlds.
mm,
The world that they live at home with their family, their
yes,
parents, they bring their culture
yes,
and the everyday life. And
yes.
then there's the outside world. Did you ever feel like that? And probably you did. And how did you deal with this?
How did I deal with it?
Or
I
maybe you
think,
didn't. You did
yeah,
feel
no, I
it.
think like I would like to say like a lot of you just have to. It's something that just happens, right? Like for example, when you're hanging out with your friends, when you're going to school, you're seeing what the standard is because
Mhm,
you're exposed to it,
mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And if you're not comfortable with from that circle, you're gonna feel it, right? Like for example, even being in like high school and house parties was a thing. And I remember at the time, or at least from my background, my culture, house parties is like that's not something you really did, right? And so going through that and then going home and then being told by like my parents, like, hey, I need you to help your mom over the weekend. We have to, I need you to, and not going to these things, um, it kind of throws you for a loop because it's like you want to assimilate, you want to be, you almost kind of want to be like everyone. You don't want to stand out. At the same time, the minute you walk through those doors, you know you're coming into a different world because it's just a different culture.
Mhm.
But I think the best thing about it is just to take it in and that's what I've learned as I've grown up is that to be proud that you can say you could bring your culture and then be involved in another one as well. Because I think it directly affects each other,
Mhm.
right? And really that's how and that happened at a very I think it all happened probably from my younger childhood all the way up to my high school. That's where really um those phases I had to learn how to simulate what to do. I had to come home and then my dad is like, speak Arabic. I don't want you to forget Arabic. I never want you to forget your roots. When you're outside, you can speak English all you want, but as soon as you enter this home, just speak Arabic at least. And being part of that world and being thankful for that because now I know how to speak Arabic fluently and connect with so many of that you know uh, because I have this language that I've saved. And then going to the outs being when as soon as they enter the outside world, being a part of that as
Yes, and now you have a deeper understanding of the people, where they're coming from,
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
and the transition they have to make in their new life, new home.
Absolutely, because it's not just like it's not just us. It's like America is immigrants, immigrant central. Like a lot of us are really first generation, but if you look into our ancestry, your grandparents, at least in New York, your grandparents or your great grandparents, they were the first to come. And so you could see that in different cultures, whether you're coming from Europe, you're coming from South America, you could see the same phase that you were going through,
Yeah.
and it's totally relatable to
Yes.
to those in front of you.
And when you hear the word immigrant, what do you think people often miss?
Hmm. I would say Dignity and service.
Mm.
Dignity, that's 3 words: dignity, service, love. Those are those top three. Because I feel like right now in the world we're in, immigrants being looked at with a lack thereof. And people are forgetting that, you know, immigrants are what made America, foundation. Even going into something as recent as pandemic, where people didn't work and people were home. Guess who worked? Immigrants. Like data shows, they carried this country through the hard work. Um, and then looking into the positive improvements that came because of immigrants. And it's very unfortunate. That's the world we live in. But that's also why, as important, that we use our voice. Like, you know, they're loud, we have to be louder. And we have to remind individuals where immigrants come from, but what they have done and what they are doing. Can never forget that. And it's through that, even those who might not be immigrants will appreciate it, respect it, and we remind them. And hopefully, because that's what you use your voice. You always use your voice, whenever you want to advocate for something, and that's something I just want to emphasize on.
So
It's our greatest power, by the way, in this country. It's our voice.
yes. So going a little bit deeper on that issue that you just mentioned, very often people talk about immigrants only as a problem.
Yes.
And only as people who need help.
Yeah.
But for many of us, immigrant identity is, it's about family, courage, culture, hard work, the
values.
sacrifices. Yes.
Yes.
How does that connect to your story and what you see around you?
Absolutely. It's in my community. It's in my community. It's in my district, up alongside across North Shore, Staten Island, and South Brooklyn. When you talk about Bensonhurst, Coney Island, Ocean Parkway, Brighton Beach, when you talk about St. George, Stapleton, I mean, the amount of economic surplus, small businesses, opportunity that was opened up and pushed forward because of immigrants, because they're bringing in their culture, and they're providing it through foundations of small businesses, right? Commerce, different industries. That is the bedrock, and it's extremely important that we don't forget that, especially when we see on TV by those in power saying what you disagree with, because that's not true. Like I know my father was a small business owner in Bay Ridge for a decade, popular restaurant, and my dad worked his butt off. My dad was a taxi driver when my dad came to the country. Like he had worked farm, and then after that he moved on to taxi driver, and he worked hard every single day to earn every dollar just so he could become a small business owner. Like it took him years, right? Because when you're coming in, you have to work right away. That isn't an option. You have to work, whether it's to provide for your family here or your family back overseas. But to even set a foundation for your family here, which is what majority of the immigrants do when they come in, they come with family, you have to work hard. And we see that when we go across New York, so many different small businesses that have their culture inside. I love that when I go to Bay Ridge, it's like Egypt. I love that when I go to Sunset Park, it's like I'm going to a little Spanish town. I love seeing that. I love going to South Brooklyn and seeing the heavy Uzbek culture, restaurants, the Ukrainian. Like that's New York. That's the melting pot. And that's something we have to value and understand. That helped New York become New York. And that's just a few of the neighborhoods that where I grew up, and I was around a lot, that I appreciate growing up. And seeing the values there, the hard work there, like you can see the dignity in their eyes, because they earned everything they've done in their life here.
If you were in Albany and heard immigrants described in harmful way, from your heart, what would you say in that room?
I would speak from my heart, not just from experience. That's what I bring to Albany is lived experience. I'm not a politician, right? I
Mm-hmm.
can even argue like I shouldn't even be here. I'm someone who worked for a living, um, but because he's seeing those in power not doing what you're saying, not standing up for immigrants, but instead stay quiet, not pushing for things that we need as a community. And so
Mm-hmm.
I would use my voice and the passion that I'm showing here, um, to speak up for them,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's through legislation, policies, um, but like we need more of that because you know, com com doing nothing is an action, right? Inaction is an action, right? And so something that's important for me is complicitness. We can't be complicit. And I feel like that's something we've had an issue with in our government for too long. And so in Albany, we need to make sure, especially when it comes to the immigrant conversation, we need to be very clear and loud on what that is. Because it's like it's my responsibility. I'm speaking for so many from different backgrounds. It's only right. And I know there are others that would agree.
Yes. If people remember one thing from your story, what are you hoping them to remember?
That you can also do it. You can also do it. I mean, I'll tell you. So I'm active on ICE Watch.
Okay.
I am not a fan of ICE. Port Richmond is a huge immigration hub in Staten Island, and I every other day we're there attacking families, just trying to earn a living, trying to work hard like my father worked hard in the 80s, trying to provide for their families, trying to go to the grocery store to buy food. They can't. Trying to go to the doctor. They can't. Just because they're looked at differently. And so what I can say is this: I'm a naturalized citizen. I was not born here. I am an immigrant. Came here now 7 years old. I am everything that is not being represented enough, not just in my district or across New York, across the country. And so long as I have my voice and I'm fighting for this change, I want to make sure that those watching know that they can see themselves doing that too.
Mm-hmm.
You're not outcasted. You're not different. You're not less than. You're equal too. And I want to make sure that is what they remember. That it's the Omar Mohamad, a guy that worked all his life, not a politician, doesn't come from generational wealth, is also able to run, who's an immigrant, who has a family he had to take care of, is running to get one of the highest seats in government to speak up for marginalized communities. And if you are watching this, yeah, I want you to be inspired. I want that young boy, young girl watching this to perhaps get that spark and to see Omar is able to do it. I'm able to do it as well. And to remind them that your voices will always be amplified.
Omar, you went through, like you said, you started the medical school, yes, am I right?
Yes. I,
And
I
then
wanted to go
are you one? But
yeah, I wanted
but then you had to do the
EMS.
EMS
Yes, yes,
and you went through all these different experiences that actually make you really experience the human life and
thank
the
you.
fragility of the human life,
Yes.
um, and very often dignity that comes with it. Uh, how was there like a specific moment somewhere along the line that triggered you? I cannot just, work and do all those good things. I need to go further. I need to do
Yes.
more. I need to lead. Was there
Yes.
like a some spark somewhere there, or was it building up through a longer time?
No, there was I didn't never I never saw myself getting into politics. That wasn't some like 5 years ago. If you would have said, "Omar, are you going to run for state senate?" Like, no, not interested. Just
Mhm.
want to take care of my family, my community. Be a public servant and sleep very good at night, knowing that I'm helping others. It started building up when I was in the ambulance because I saw. So my mom is fighting stage 4 lung cancer. My own mother was denied treatment from her insurance, and because the specific issue she had wasn't covered, and the procedure was like $11,000. It was. something that was so expensive, and I'm just like what the heck?
It was
My
so
mom,
expensive, but it wasn't covered.
it wasn't COVID. No, it wasn't covered. Extremely expensive, and what? That's my mom who has cancer. Like when I was in the ambulance, there were those who told me no to the ambulance. Like told me no, like I'm not getting in, and I'm like, why? Like you have to come. You
Mhm.
haven't had your insulin over. You have to come. You might not be able to call 911 in 2 days if you don't come. Are you gonna pay my bills? There are people who I remember their faces right now who said no to me, and then when I followed up, I found out they passed away. Like that's the healthcare system we have. It's a for profit for private health insurance. It does not prioritize people. And when that happened to my mom, I said, "There's no way this is acceptable." This is like I believe I have the experiences and the time and the lived experience to bring change that didn't just directly affect my family, but affects everyone. Everyone.
Mhm.
And so that is what really made me think like when I take a look at our current political situation, it feels like it's the same thing over and over and over again. The same status quo, no changes. It doesn't feel like we're being prioritized as a people. And so really I told myself, why can't I do it?
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't come from politics. I've worked for a living. You know what? I want to speak for working family. I was a public servant and was for 5 years. I'm going through this because it's not about me anymore. It's about all of us. And it's going through that and seeing how my mom was affected by the current healthcare system that made me want to change it. Fight for like universal healthcare that is so needed. It is bare minimum at this point that would affect every single family, improve life for everyone, communities, even outside of healthcare. I mean, I can go on and on about how good this New York Health Act specific bill is.
That's a strong why. Yeah. Omar, because this is Wise Immigrant Podcast, please share with us a wisdom that you would like to share with the immigrants,
Mm,
children of immigrants, the
yes,
young people, and the working families
yes,
who are still trying to figure it out and make basically America a better place for all of us.
absolutely. Uh, please use your voice. Never be quiet. Advocacy. We need to make sure you're advocating for what you want to see change. Do not look at TV, look at specific individuals, specific organizations, and feel let down and feel it's better if you just stay quiet. Being quiet is their win. We have to use the strongest power we have in this country, which is our voice,
Mhm.
freedom of speech. That is your right. That is what you can use to bring change. Some of the biggest changes that happen in this country. We can go back to the civil rights movement to even before, came from our voice, just speaking up, people coming together and speaking up. So what I will say is always use your voice when you see something that you're unhappy with. And find others that are like-minded to do the same thing. Uh, whether you're rallying, whether you're protesting, whatever it is, be active, use your voice, and know that you matter, you carry weight. And when there are more people like that, it becomes more and more powerful until you cannot be ignored.
Thank you, Omar. That's very powerful. We
Thank you.
all we all need to raise our voices.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
for
They'll try to keep us quiet, but that ain't gonna happen, right?
and for the people watching who believe in you, how can they support you and your campaign?
Absolutely. Please check out my website, omarfornys.com, and follow my social media platforms. If you live in my district, Senate District 23, which is North Shore, Staten, South Brooklyn, and you are a Democrat, know that my name is on the ballot. We're on the ballot already. Now it's time to people to make that choice, and to really be part of something bigger than all of us, where we can have better co-governance between our communities and elected leaders. Um, and to yeah, and to follow me and be there. Early voting, June 11th to the 13th to the 21st, and then primary the day of last day, June 23rd. That's voting, and support the campaign. Yeah, that's probably the best thing.
Once again, thank you so much, Omar, for your time, for sharing your energy. And I
Thank
feel
you.
it's your energy of love and giving to people, uplifting people. And you're so young. We're going to follow
Thank you.
you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for having this platform. It's so important because a lot of people can find solace through this. You're doing something that is much, much needed now more than ever. And thank you so much. Thank you so much.
It's
I,
my
I
pleasure.
appreciate everyone for being part of this and for giving me your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Omar. See you around.
Bye bye.
Bye.